This program on investing under Regulation Crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud, and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm the host, Devin Thorpe, and boy, do we have a great guest for you today. I've got Paul Lovejoy with us. He's the founder of it's Stakeholder Enterprise, and he's a registered investment advisor and a great human being. So you guys are going to enjoy meeting Paul. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. Thrilled to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. So welcome. Paul, you and I have become acquainted via the web over the last year or two. And what I think we have discovered is, a nearly profound resonance of alignment of mission and purpose. And so we find ourselves doing more and more to collaborate together. But I wonder, where did your passion for crowdfund investing come from? How did you come to this?
Well, I've always loved investing. It's my favorite game as a kid was Monopoly. I used to watch the news as a kid, and I was all into the savings and loan scandals of the 80s. So this is something that's always been in me. But crowd investing, well, backing up a little bit, I was also a defrauded investor, and I lost a lot of money in 2008. But also not just from being defrauded, it was also the too big to fail banking crisis. And so all that fraud and financial loss, it really created a situation where I felt this intense shame. I didn't want to tell anybody why I was that I was, a bad investor, basically. That's I was carrying this shame, and it just didn't go away for years. 8 years it took. And finally, through a dedication to practice personal development, I started to heal, and healing meant I needed to face my own past and my financial trauma that I had suffered. And so really what it was learning about social enterprise really changed my whole perspective. And this was in 2016 that I learned about social enterprises, because I saw how corporations, traditional for-profit corporations, were maximizing profits for their shareholders above all else. And I just wish that there were businesses that were, they made money solving problems. I was also just sick of politics and the divisiveness and the money and the influence in politics. And I saw social enterprise as this kind of sweet spot where you could solve problems. You could be the change. You didn't have to rely on politicians to do anything. And also, it was a business model away from this exploitative, extractive, traditional for-profit corporation model. And so in 2016, I left real estate and decided to go into wealth strategy to kind of face my own demons of 2008. And when I was there, I learned about, I worked for this outside the box company, and they used peer-to-peer lending as part of their investment strategy. And this blew me away. This is people crowdsourcing loans to other people to help them get out of debt or some sort of medical expense. And I was completely blown away by this. I didn't know anything like that existed. And I saw it as a way to slowly eliminate banks out of the picture, these too big to fail banks. Well, with peer-to-peer, crowd lending, no one's too big to fail. We're just all people. And so it instead of relying on one single source, now you're relying on hundreds or even thousands of sources to finance projects or loans. And then when I discovered this peer-to-peer lending, then I started to look into other things. I learned about the Jobs Act in 2012, learned about Regulation Crowdfunding, Regulation A, and all of a sudden I saw these other opportunities for crowd investing, and I was hooked right away. Everything about it. I loved the diversification aspect, because you can put small amounts of money into lots of different projects. And so it was a way to factor in, fraud and business failure with mitigating risk. So that's my story, why I love crowd investing so much.
Wow. Yeah. And I share your passion. My gosh. And, you connected the dots to social enterprise in a way that I did almost instantly, right? I recognized that we can invest in these deals we want to see in the world, right? We can change the world with our investments, and that is such a fun thing to do. It's like sport, I think. And do you experience it that way?
Yeah, I do. I get excited. Now this also causes a blind spot in me, because I want these things to succeed so bad. And practicing personal development, it's important to stay humble and recognize my own bias. So I try and follow people who have opposite viewpoints from me, so I can humble myself and see past some of these blind sides. And it's helped me become a better investor because of that. Because I have this excitement for crowd investing and for these social enterprises to do well. And Devin, yes, investing shapes the future. If nobody invested in building a slave ship, would they ever been built? And so we need to think about that. We need to think about how, okay, we are in a capitalist economy, and so where we place our capital really matters. So that's kind of how why I'm so passionate about this in shaping the future, picking winners. I love this. Yeah.
It really does matter. You talk about making a difference. It really does, and in some profound and exciting ways. As you think about impact investing via the crowd, one of the challenges is trying to figure out how to balance return on investment in a traditional financial sense, right? Now, for those who are like super rich, I am much more sympathetic to the idea that capital should be invested sometimes with little regard for financial return. But most of us are struggling to scrape by and accumulate a few dollars so that we can maintain a modest standard of living after we stop work, right? That's where the vast majority of Americans are. We're not in this great affluent situation where we're flying private to remote exciting locations, right? We work, right? And so saving is, how do you balance that? How do you do the due diligence? How do you calculate risks and build a portfolio strategically? And I realize I'm asking you to divulge some of the most valuable insights you have as an investment professional, but just give us a quick glimpse. We don't have all day anyway, so give us just a quick glimpse into the mind of Paul Lovejoy on the investing side.
Well, you're absolutely right. We're not flowing money, it's not coming out of our pockets. It's not, we are working and we're not flying privately. That's so true. And so the foundation for my investment practice is to start with income producing assets. There's no greater way to build wealth than through income producing assets. So there are so many impact investing offerings that offer income producing assets, like the SMBX, where you can get market rate, risk adjusted market returns, and have this income. And when you have this income, it's unique because now, let's say you have an unexpected expense. Well, that income is available to you if it's not in a retirement account. If it's just in if you're just regular investing. And crowd investments have to go into a self-directed IRA. It's a little trickier, but and not all of them you can. That's the other thing. Each platform has its own little setup. But when you're focusing on income producing assets, you have income when you need it and growth when you don't. You're getting your principal back, monthly on a lot of these platforms, where you can just keep reinvesting it. Especially with low minimum investment requirements, it's quite easy to do that, to keep reinvesting in these impact offerings. And I also suggest that people take an more of an outside the box look when it comes to impact investing. There is a platform I absolutely love. It's called Ground Floor, and you're crowdsourcing short-term real estate loans. Now, a lot of people say, well, where's the impact in that? But you're loaning to small businesses primarily. I've looked at this so much. You're loaning money to either realtors, local contractors, or financial freedom enthusiasts. These aren't large corporations or big time developers. These are small people. They're house flipping. And what they do is they hire local contractors, local electricians, plumbers, to fix up the properties. And it creates this incredible local economy multiplier effect, where the more and more money is spent in that local economy. And Ground Floor is based in Atlanta. If you live in Atlanta, you could really complete the trifecta by being an investor that's getting the returns, local return. You're investing local, it's returning local, and you're spending local. And so that's another thing that you want to do, is not just like the classic, oh, here is a microfinancing loan to a struggling entrepreneur. Those investments are important too. Two of them, Calvert Impact, and also my C Notes flagship fund, which is a Reg A offering. It's moderate returns, but both of them historically have never lost a single dollar of investors' money. Past performance does not guarantee future results, but historically speaking, these are solid investments, and it's nice to have that part in your portfolio anyways. So you can kind of do it all. You could invest for impact, like big time impact on these microfinancing of these low income entrepreneurs in communities that have been neglected, and disinvestment in, and those are important to do alongside of Ground Floor or SMBX or Honeycomb, some of these other income producing asset ones.
Yeah, this is great stuff. Great stuff. It seems to me, Paul, that with your kind of leadership, and I wish we had time to explore this fully, but we don't. But a lot of us are approaching crowdfund investing as a part of our portfolio. A few people are trying to make this their entire portfolio, 100%. And I'm excited when I hear that. But when I hear that, I also think they need to hire a professional like Paul Lovejoy. right? Because if you're going to put all of your money in these kinds of investments, this is a little non-traditional. You don't want to go this alone. I don't care how smart you think you are. You've got to get a sounding board, a partner. Don't you think that it makes sense for someone who really wants to put it all to work, that they're getting advice from someone like you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've tested and invested in well over 25 different platforms. And that's, I think, the tricky thing. Not only have I invested, there are some platforms that I haven't invested on that I've done a lot of due diligence on, just to kind of, oh, what's this? I like when I see a new funding portal pop up, I'm all, oh, what's this about? I'm like really interested and want to know what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important. Nothing is like this out there. You need to have the same type of asset allocation in a traditional portfolio that you would want in a crowd investment. You want to have fixed income. You want to have equity. You want to have balanced. You want to have real estate. So you want to have all the right amount of asset allocation in your portfolio. And it certainly will help to have someone like myself say, yeah, you're balanced. No, you're not balanced. You need to be adding a little bit more of equity or real estate or whatever it is into your portfolio. And it could all be impact. All of it has impact. So that's what's so exciting.
Great. Yeah. Well, fantastic. Listen, Paul, we're going to take a quick break. Folks, I'm here with Paul Lovejoy. He's the founder of Stakeholder Enterprise and just a terrific human being. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Paul about his superpower. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be great.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can be a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great change makers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Paul Lovejoy, the founder of Stakeholder Enterprises, a registered investment advisor and just a great human being. We're going to shift gears now to talk to Paul about his superpower. So stick around. Paul, I just love, finding great human beings like you, and I'm so happy to have you in my network. What is your superpower?
Well, Devin, first of all, I think the first time I saw Devin Thorpe, it said champion of social good. And I was like, wow, that is bold. But you are a champion of social good, and that inspires. And when we're talking about superpowers, I don't think there is a greater superpower than to inspire people. I think that's the ultimate superpower, because in the end, the only minds we have control over changing is our own. And the very best we could do for others is to inspire them. And so now you have to ask the question, well, how do you inspire somebody? And I think that's done with love. And when I say love, I'm talking about acceptance and respect. If you feel accepted, you walk into a room and everybody in that room accepts you for who you are. Think about how that feels, how special that is. So in acceptance and on top of acceptance, place respect. I mean, you wouldn't want to leave that room. So to inspire, I think you have to be accepting, you have to respect, And you have to create an environment where people are willing to listen to what you have to say. And so that is the only thing I could possibly do to change anything, is just trying to inspire others to invest, place their capital where it matters. That's the superpower.
Well, that is a great superpower. I wonder if you could think back to look for in your brain, your memory files there, for a specific time when you used your superpower to inspire, love, and accept someone, and you were able to accomplish something you're proud of, overcome a challenge. Can you think of an example?
Well, yeah, I am a dad. Also, I have two boys, and there's always an opportunity to inspire there. Now, I can't say I've always been an inspiration or tapped or leaned into that. In fact, prior to 2016, I was kind of an angry guy, and so the big shift in my own parenting mode was to stop trying to make my kids the best kids that they can be, and instead focus on being the best parent that I could be. So the other day, my younger son, he wanted to he wants to play basketball, but he's never done that before. He's never played and he's 11, and he wants to join a school team. And so I don't give advice anymore. Instead, I asked him, well, how would you feel if you didn't play? And he's like, well, it wouldn't make me feel so good. And then I said, well, what do you think you need to do to play better? And well, I need to practice, and so I can get better. I was like, oh, okay. So when do you think you could practice? And he goes, well, I could practice a little bit after we have practice, because the quarter's open for another 30 minutes, and I could practice with some of my friends. And so that's exactly what happened yesterday. Basketball practice was over. I go to pick him up at 4:30, and there he is shooting and with his friends. And there was an assistant coach working with them, and he was really listening to improve his shot. And it's really rewarding to see that. And it's the same with investment advice. I hear people scared about investing and not being able to do it. And I don't try and tell them what to do. Instead, I want to guide them what to do with investing, because it is scary. There's a lot of unknown, and there is no guarantees with investing. So inspiring and guiding people is, I think, huge in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, we have time for one quick tip. Give us one quick tip for loving, respecting, and honoring people.
One quick tip is, if you're blaming someone else, if you're blaming yourself, if you're angry, then you don't have the cognitive capacity in your head to be loving, to be accepting. There was a whole Nobel Prize won on this with the Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow by Daniel Kahneman. So if you find yourself blaming, you got to let go of it, because once you let go of blame, then you can become the solution.
That's fantastic. I love that tip. Paul, as we wrap up, tell people how they can learn more about you and your financial practice, and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, Devin. So if people can go to Stakeholder Enterprise, they can sign up for my monthly newsletter. And it's very in-depth. It's something that you want to keep in your inbox and refer back to, these monthly newsletters, because I don't do it every week. I really try and focus on these monthly ones. And also, please connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn at Paul Lovejoy, or on Instagram at paul.lovejoy. Those are the two places that you can connect. Direct message me, and I'll be happy to have a conversation.
Fantastic. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on the show today. We want to wish you every success in all that you do, especially in your practice, and driving more people to drive more money into impact investing and changing the world.
That's the idea. Thanks, Devin.
All righty now, let's do some good.